Is this thing loaded with character or what? No, you're not bored. You would never get bored. Welcome to Life on the Moose. Today we're actually on the Moose, at least for a while. We're going to eventually get going on the inside walls of that outdoor kitchen. But while I have you here in the Moose, let me just take about 45 seconds to introduce this place to our brand new viewers. This won't take long. We bought this piece as 32 acres. The only thing on it was the wellhead. No roads, nothing. First thing I did is built that cabin. We call it a cabin. It's basically a glorified garage. The original intent was just to store stuff while I built a house where I'm standing right here. But we call it a cabin because that's where we crash when we come to Red Moose Ranch. That's the second thing I built. We call it the bunkhouse. It's about 8 feet by 10 feet. It's very small. It's just an extra bedroom, basically. Next thing I built was this barn. It took me about 3 years to build it. 90% of it on my own. Had some help with Karen and a few friends. Finished that about 3 years ago. Well, kind of finished it. I'm a little embarrassed because I have some steel roofing trim I still have to put on. I'm kind of saving that for a video I make on that build. So we'll get to that eventually. The next thing I built was that wood shed right there. It's basically a storage shed for lumber. I finished that 2 years ago. And a year ago, finished the ridge cabin. It's way up there. You'll have to check out some videos. I do have a start to finish video on it, as well as the regular weekly videos as I'm working on it. So check those out too. Let's go pick out some wood for the inside walls of that outdoor kitchen. I think you're gonna like it. So here's the wood shed. I don't have a lot of store-bought wood in here right now. A couple leftover 2x8s down there. But almost everything over here is sawn off of Red Moose Ranch, milled up myself a few months ago. And a lot of this stuff over here is left over from that old house that we tore down on the Spur property. You gotta check out some of this wood. In fact, let me put this camera down so you can. Check that out. Is this thing loaded with character or what? See how much it's cupped? Maybe not ideal to some, but that's a lot of character to me. So we're gonna use that for inside walls. This board came from the very outside walls of that old house I was just talking about. That house was 2x4 construction, had 2 layers of wood, almost like a board and batten, but horizontal. The layer of wood that was under this, nice and straight, and I've used that for other stuff already, flooring and whatnot, I think primarily. But this stuff I haven't used yet. Been waiting for a good purpose, and I think this is a great purpose. So I'm not gonna sand this, I'm not gonna do a lot to it. I might run one edge, actually both edges, through a table saw, just 1/8 of an inch or so, just to give us a nice straight line. And then we'll put it on the wall sideways like that. It'll be kind of a modified shiplap, but it won't be lapped. I'm gonna put some black tar paper behind it so that when you see through the cracks and the knot holes and whatnot, it'll just be black, so it'll look good when it's all finished. So let's load up some of these and head back to the barn where we have a table saw set up. I can straighten these out a little bit. Oh, I wanted to show you one more thing. This board. This is a wide plank taken from that house. I think this was taken out of the stairwell inside that old house. But nonetheless, look how wide this thing is. I've said this a couple times before, but I think it's worth repeating. If you like history at all, or if you're fascinated at all with what it used to be like in the old days, and this is fascinating, I think. So in order to get a board this big, there's a little bit of live edge on this side, but squared off on this end and that edge. But in order to produce a board this big, that tree probably was this big, at least, and a tree that big is probably close to 200 years old. So then when I backed that out of when the house was built in 1911, so you had a 200-year-old piece of wood going into that house. So imagine when this piece of wood was just a little tree. That was alive before we were a country. That's amazing stuff to me. So what are we going to use this for? So I hope to use this for a door, that hatch door that we're going to put in the kitchen on that short wall. I'm going to use this. I think this will look great. So let's try to clean this up too. If we can, we'll get to that door today. If we can't, we won't. But at least we'll get going on the inside walls. What do you think? Let's get to work. On my way over here, I drove by the burnt out area where the fire was. That road has been closed for a few days. So I did take some video of that. At the end of this episode, I'll show some of that video of that burnt out area. It's pretty devastating. It's pretty amazing. So I'm going to start with this big wall right here. And I'm going to start with the top. Very top, I'm going to put a whole board and work my way down. I'm going to work my way down to about 30 inches, give or take. I'm not interested in putting this wood behind the cabinetry that I make. Cabinetry. I don't do fine cabinetry. Not now, anyway. So there's no sense in taking the time to put those boards underneath where it's never going to be seen. So tar papers first, and then we'll start hanging wood. Gosh, this is fun. Are you smiling? Okay, I see it. Let's get to work. one wall finished up. Is that cool or what? I'm happy with that. Talk about character. Oh, speaking of cool. Remember this big old plank I was talking about earlier? Check that out. It's like it was meant to be. I didn't plan that. This is going to be the door. Look at that. Love to use that old wood. It's 4 o'clock on a Sunday, so I think I'm going to take... Can I have the rest of the day off, please? Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. I have to get a few more nails and screws in the morning. I think I'm going to cut a few more of those boards just to make sure I don't run out. And I'll meet you back here in the morning. Okay, I'll meet you back here in about 5 seconds for you. Okay, stay put. You've heard me talk about order of operations and how important it is when you're doing projects like this to do step 1 before you do step 2, etc., etc. I almost forgot about that. It's a little bit harder to remember when you don't have plans written down. And as I told you, I have no plans for this. We have no plans for this, other than as we go, we're just kind of winging it. And hey, that looks good. Let's do this. And well, one thing I almost forgot. Well, actually, 2 things I almost forgot. One, I am going to put very simple wiring. I'm going to put 1 switch, 1 outlet, and 1 light bulb. That's it. That way, if anyone wants to bring a power station down here, hook up a blender or whatever the case may be, you have that option. So luckily, nothing's going to go on this wall. It's going to go right here, right inside the doorway, as it were. I'll just put everything right here and run a wire up for a light bulb up there. And another thing I have to do, I have to put a nailer up here because I am going to finish the ceiling with something. I'm not 100% sure with what yet, but some sort of planking or boards or wood. So I have to nail on top of here a nailer so that I can nail up my ends of those boards. So 2 nailers and some wiring. Let's do that real quick, and then we'll continue going around with this wood. Get away. Yellow jackets are nasty this year. I don't know if they are where you are, but they are here. All right, let's get to work. So for those of you who were unfortunate enough to miss the wiring episode in the Spur Cabin, this is basically a glorified extension cord. That's really all this is. Right here, this is going to stick out of the wall. This is going to have a 3-prong end to it, a male end if you will. So this will plug into the power station. And from there, this will power the outlet, power the switch, of course runs to the light. So super simple system. That's a lot of S's. And so if you're wondering why I staggered them like this and measured that board from over here, it's because I don't have my jigsaw with me. So I just want to make sure this ends at the very edge of a board. This will be the top edge, that's the bottom edge of this board that I want to run through. In fact, I'll probably put this board on first, make sure it's lined up, and then work my way up and down accordingly. Okay, well that's done. I can finish working on these boards. Are you bored yet? Get bored? No, you're not bored. You would never get bored. I mean, you're watching Life on the Moose. You're at the edge of your seat every second, right? Right? Okay, let's keep going. All right, have that corner wrapped up. I think this stuff looks great. I don't know what you think. I like it. So I got 2 more sections to go. One up there and the other down there. There's not going to be anything in front of that, so that's going to have that wood siding. So let's get going on these 2 sections, and then I have one more right there that I'm going to do something different with. Can you guess what it is? You'll find out in about 5 minutes or so. Okay, let's hang some more wood. Well, did you figure out what I'm going to do right there? Ooh, it got windy all of a sudden. Here, I'll show you. Do you remember the last episode when I had that steel delivered? It came with an old piece of steel on top? Right there. I'm going to use that piece of steel kind of as a heat shield because I'm going to put a grill along that wall. But I have to cut this. So I'm going to do that and we'll put it on the wall. Hey, check it out. What do you think? Man, it's windy. Here, hold on. I'm going to go talk to you in the Spur Cabin. Whew, that's better. Is my hair messed up? Oh, I know it looks ridiculous. Oh, good Lord, it's windy out there. Thank you for watching Life on the Moose. I really appreciate it as always. I bought something to go with that kitchen. I want to see if anyone can guess what it is. I wonder how much I should give you a hint. Okay, I'll give you a hint. I bought it at an antique shop. It's related to the kitchen, and that's all I'll say. So, in, I don't know, 2 or 3 or 4 episodes, I'll be dealing with that particular object. I'd be interested to know if anyone can guess what the heck that is. So have at it. Give it a try. If you get it right, I'll tell you you're right. So next week I think we'll work on that ceiling. We've got a lot of stuff to do yet in there, but it's coming along. So once again I had somebody mention, it seems like about every other video, someone says, I thought I was subscribed all along and suddenly I'm not. So I don't know if people actually get unsubscribed accidentally or if YouTube just feeds you the video and then you kind of get used to seeing it so you think you're subscribed. But anyway, no pressure. Just double check. That'd be great. And if you could tell 10 of your closest friends to subscribe, that'd be great too. That's not too much to ask, is it? All right, we'll come back next week. We'll keep working on this outdoor kitchen, or we'll work on something. You know, who knows? You never know. All right, well, I gotta go clean up. I'm a mess. Thanks again. I appreciate it. We'll see you next week. In the meantime, stay out of trouble and be good to each other. Take care. You can see the bulldozer mark right there, trying to cut a line in front of the fire, going all the way up the hill.